There is a stillness behind every breath you take, a place untouched by fear, unsullied by judgment, unbroken by time. It is the space of your being, eternal and present. And in that space, the great miracle of transformation begins not through striving, not through control, not through the clenched fists of resistance, but through the open hands of acceptance. Acceptance is not surrender, it is not apathy, it is not weakness. It is the courageous, soul-deep acknowledgement that this moment as it is enough. Not because it conforms to your expectations, not because it gives you everything you think you need, but because it simply is. And in its isness, it is sacred. Transformation begins the moment you stop arguing with reality. The moment you cease demanding that life should have gone another way. The moment you unclench from the past, loosen your grip on your imagined future, and soften into the now. This is not passivity, this is power. The power of presence, the power of trust, the power of alignment with a deeper wisdom that transcends your intellect. Most people believe change begins when the outside world shifts, when the job is found, when the partner returns, when the pain finally disappears. But the truth, the deep and liberating truth, is that change begins inside. It begins when you turn toward your life and not to fix it, not to escape it, but to be with it. To embrace what is, so that what is no longer needed can fall away. There is an old story you've been telling, a story of what should have happened, of what you've lost, of what they did, a story of shame or blame or regret. You carry it like a backpack of bricks, hoping it will finally bring justice or clarity or control. But the story is not your salvation. The story is your chain. And acceptance is the key that unlocks the door. To accept is not to approve. To accept is to see clearly, to stand still in the presence of what is, without flinching, without running, without denial. There's a kind of sacred vision that comes only when the ego quiets its complaints, when the heart stops closing doors, and when the soul is given the microphone. Acceptance is the posture of the soul. When you accept your past, it cannot haunt you. When you accept your emotions, they cannot drown you. When you accept yourself, your light, your darkness, your flaws, your beauty, you stop waiting to become someone else, and you finally arrive as yourself. This world does not need more perfected personas. It does not need more masks or performances. It needs realness. It needs presence. It needs the radiant authenticity that pours from someone who has looked at every broken part of themselves and said, yes, even this, I will not turn away. The pain you resist becomes your prison. The moment you say, this should not be, you cast yourself into inner war. But the moment you say, this is what is, you return to peace. From that peace, true change can resonate as a frantic sprint, away from what you hate, but as a gentle, guided unfolding toward who you really are. The caterpillar does not become a butterfly by force. It does not rip its own skin off in rebellion. It goes still. It surrenders. It cocoons into darkness and accepts the disintegration of all it has known. Only then can the wings form. Only then can the transformation take flight. You too must be willing to enter that sacred cocoon, to stop trying to be elsewhere, to stop judging your sadness, your anger, your confusion. These are not signs of failure. They are invitations to feel, to heal, to listen, to love. The ego will fight this. It wants movement. It wants drama. It wants victory through struggle. But the soul speaks a quieter language. It whispers in stillness. It heals through presence. And it transforms through acceptance. You have not been broken by your past. You have been shaped by it, tempered, refined, initiated. The fire did not destroy you. It revealed you. The rain did not drown. You washed away what you were never meant to carry. And the darkness was not a punishment, it was a womb, a place of becoming. Acceptance is how you make peace with the womb. It is how you sit inside the mystery and say, I don't need to understand this to trust it. The oak tree does not understand the storm, but it does not resist it. It bends, it roots, it waits, and when the winds come, it is stronger, deeper, wiser. You have carried expectations like shields, assumptions like swords, but these weapons do not protect you. They separate you from others, from peace, from your own divine nature. Lay them down. Let the story of who you thought you had to be dissolved. Return to your original self, the one who needed no reason to be worthy, the one who knew how to dance in the rain, the one who loved without a why. You are not here to control the river. You are here to learn how to float, how to feel the current beneath you and trust it is carrying you exactly where you need to go. Resistance is exhaustion. Acceptance is grace. And grace is not something you earn, it is something you allow, something you receive when you stop trying to deserve it. Grace enters when your hands are open, not clenched. It enters when your heart is soft, not armored. It enters through the door of acceptance. That door has always been waiting for you to step out of the courtroom of your mind and into the sanctuary of your spirit, waiting for you to stop defending and start discovering, waiting for you to see that there is nothing wrong with you, only thoughts that told you there was. Even the pain, even the failure, even the lonely, none of it was wrong. All of it was part of your becoming, part of your sacred curriculum. And when you accept that, the pain becomes wisdom, the failure becomes freedom, and the loneliness becomes a gateway to the divine. Keep breathing, keep softening, keep letting go of the need for life to be other than it is. What if everything you've been trying to fix is already perfect in its unfolding? What if the healing isn't something you achieve, but something you stop resisting? You are not a problem to be solved. You are a soul to be felt. You are a mystery to be lived. You are a wave of divine intelligence moving through a temporary form, and every experience is a note in the song of your awakening. And the song doesn't need to be rewritten, it only needs to be heard. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not even the name you answer to. You are the witness behind it all. The presence that observes, that breathes, that remains. And in that witnessing, in that sacred noticing, you begin to awaken. You begin to realize that nothing outside of you has the authority to define your worth. Only your own awareness can do that. And awareness, when paired with acceptance, becomes liberation. How long will you wait for permission to be at peace? How many years will you spend negotiating with the past, bargaining with the future, trying to twist yourself into some idea of enough? What if you paused right now and said, this is enough, I am enough, and I no longer need to be at war with life? There is such relief in no longer needing to fight. Not because you've given up, but because you've risen up. Risen into a higher truth, where peace is not earned through struggle, but remembered through surrender. In this remembering, your entire life becomes softer. It becomes more honest. You stop chasing illusions and you begin to live. The soul does not speak in demands. It speaks in invitations. And every moment is an invitation to return to your breath, to your body, to your truth. To return to the quiet space beneath the noise, where life simply is. No judgments, no stories, just now, just presence, just being. Most people live in a cage built by their own minds. The bars are made of expectations, and the lock is resistance. But the key has always been in your hands. It's called acceptance. And when you use it, the cage disappears not because the world changed, but because your vision did. Imagine the peace that arises when you no longer need to control how others see you. Imagine the freedom when you stop trying to rewrite the past. Imagine the love you can offer yourself when you stop demanding that you be any different than you are. This is not complacency. It is awakening. The seed does not judge itself for not yet being a tree. It simply allows the rain, welcomes the sun, and trusts the unfolding. So must you. You are never meant to be anyone else. Your pain, your past, your peculiarities, they are not deviations from your path. They are your path. They are the exact conditions necessary for your soul to flower. Stop wishing they were different. Start listening to what they are here to teach. Acceptance is not the end of transformation. It is the beginning. When you finally stop trying to escape the moment becomes your teacher. When you stop resisting what is, you begin to receive what is. And that receiving is where healing begins. You may believe that you'll accept life once it gets better. But in truth, life gets better the moment you accept it. Because your suffering has never come from the moment itself. It has come from the thought that the moment should be something else. When you stop arguing with what is, your energy returns to you. And that energy can be used for love, for creativity, for connection, for truth. Resistance drains, acceptance replenishes. In the presence of acceptance, fear dissolves, because fear feeds on control. But when you accept that you do not need to control, fear loses its grip. And in that loosening, a deeper trust is born not in the mind, but in life itself. You begin to see that everything that has ever happened was not in the way, but on the way. Every detour, every heartbreak, every delay it was all divine choreography. You may not have chosen the pain, but the pain chose you for a reason. Not to punish, but to purify. Not to destroy, but to awaken. And when you accept that, you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And you begin to ask, what is this here to reveal in me? That shift changes everything. It shifts you from victim to vessel, from resentment to reverence, from anxiety to awe. The truth is, nothing needs to change for you to be free. Freedom is not a future destination. It is a present realization. It is a choice to see what is without resistance, without judgment, without running away. And when you truly see it, you begin to love it. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real, because it's yours, because it brought you here. And here this sacred, raw, imperfect here is where the divine lives. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to begin living. This is the moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this rising and falling of the chest. The divine is not elsewhere. It is right here. In the messy, the mundane, the misunderstood, this is where your transformation begins. It begins when you soften instead of harden, when you stay instead of flee, when you say yes to what is, even when it breaks your heart, especially when it breaks your heart. Because the heart must break open for the soul to shine through. And oh, how it shines. Not through the perfect mask of a polished life, but through the cracks, the flaws, the places where the light got in. Your scars are not your shame. They are your sanctuaries. Places where you were cracked open and still chose love. You are not here to prove anything. You are here to remember everything, to remember that you are whole, that you are held, that you are a wave of divine light temporarily having a human experience. And acceptance is how you remember. When you stop trying to be someone else, you come home to who you already are. And that home is not a place of perfection, it is a place of peace. A place where you can rest, where you can breathe, where you can finally lay down the burden of becoming and rise into the grace of being. This is the real miracle. Not that you changed life, but that you changed your relationship with life. That you chose to see with new eyes, to listen with an open heart, to walk not in fear, but in faith. And this faith is not blind, it is intimate. It is rooted in a knowing that cannot be explained, only felt. A knowing that whispers, even this is part of it. Even this has a place. Even this can be holy. The rain has never apologized for falling. The ocean does not regret its waves. The mountain does not wish to be smaller, and neither should you. Accept yourself as nature accepts itself unapologetically, unconditionally, unreservedly, because only when you accept yourself can you truly love yourself. And only when you love yourself can you truly love others. All transformation begins here, not out there, not later, but here. In the quiet revolution of accepting this moment, this breath, this you. So breathe, return, and open the door. Not the door of striving or proving, but the door of surrender. The door of yes. The door that has been waiting for you all along. And when you walk through that door, you do not find escape. You find arrival. You do not find perfection. You find peace. You do not find answers. You find acceptance. And that is the beginning of everything. Let this be your sacred turning point, not in outer form, but in inner knowing. Let this be the moment you say to yourself, with all the tenderness in the world, I will no longer resist this life. I will no longer push against this moment. I will accept myself. I will accept this path. I will accept the presence of the divine in all things. And as you do, the door swings open, the light floods in, the burdens drop away, and transformation no longer feels like effort. It feels like truth. It feels like peace. It feels like home. But don't just accept what feels easy. Accept even what you do not understand. Accept the mess. Accept the noise. Accept the days when the answers do not come. Because those are the days your spirit is doing its deepest work. The soil does not resist the seed just because it does not yet bloom. It holds it. It keeps it safe. And so must you hold your process without judgment, without haste, without shame. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not broken or lost. You are exactly where you are meant to be, not as a punishment, not as a failure, but as a sacred pause, a necessary inhale before the next unfolding. Stop measuring your growth with someone else's ruler. Your journey is too sacred for comparison. There is a wisdom in the silence. There is healing in the slowness, but only if you can accept it. If you can sit with the discomfort and allow it to soften you. Let life knead you like clay, molding you not into perfection, but into presence. And presence is where love lives. Can you love yourself when you're not performing? Can you honor your soul when you're not being praised? Can you sit in your solitude and still feel divine? Because that's what it means to accept yourself. Not when you're polished, not when you're accomplished, but now. In the sweat, in the uncertainty, in the imperfection. This is what real healing looks like, not the erasing of scars, but the honoring of them. Not pretending you were never wounded, but bowing to the strength it took to survive. You are not here to hide your story. You are here to illuminate it, not as a tale of victimhood, but as a testimony of rising. So let the pain be part of your poetry. Let the failures be folded into your freedom. Let the heartbreak become holy. There is no part of your experience that is not worthy of reverence. Nothing that needs to be exiled from the sacred space of your becoming. And if tears come, let them fall. Do not apologize for feeling. Do not harden just to be accepted. Because the truth is, your softness is your strength. Your emotions are not weaknesses. They are rivers that carve valleys of compassion into your soul. Let them flow. Let them teach. Let them reveal the truth you've hidden beneath the armor. You are safe now. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to defend. You don't have to explain your light to those committed to seeing you dim. Just be. Just breathe. Just stand in your sacred yes. Because when you stop chasing the life you think you should have, the life that was always meant for you can finally arrive. And when it does, you'll recognize it not by how perfect it looks, but by how peaceful it feels. That's how you'll know you're home. Not because everything outside is fixed, but because something inside is finally free. Free from resistance. Free from expectation. Free from the self-imposed pressure to constantly become in that freedom. You realize, I was never meant to strive my way into peace. I was only meant to remember that I am peace itself. This remembrance changes everything. It shifts your entire vibration. It reorients your path. Not away from difficulty, but toward truth. Because truth doesn't always feel comfortable, but it always sets you free. And the deepest truth is this: you are enough, as you are, right now. Not one more achievement, not one more apology, not one more moment of proving is required. You were born worthy, and nothing this world can give or take can alter that. Acceptance is how you reclaim this truth, not by doing, but by allowing. Allow yourself to exhale. Allow yourself to soften. Allow yourself to be held not by another person, but by the infinite, eternal presence that has carried you from the beginning. You are not separate from it. You are it. You are the presence you've been seeking. You are the divine disguised in human skin. And in this knowing, you stop running, you stop performing, you stop pushing away parts of yourself to be loved. You realize you don't need to be different to be whole. You need to be here to be real, to be open, to be willing to accept the pain that shaped you, the joy that sustained you, the unknown that continues to call you forward. Willing to accept that life is not a straight line, but a spiral staircase, and every return, every detour, every descent is part of the rising. Willing to accept that maybe the mountain you've been trying to climb is already within you. Maybe there's nowhere to go but deeper, deeper into stillness, deeper into self, deeper into this miraculous now. Because when you live from acceptance, you no longer live in delay. You no longer postpone your peace. You no longer wait for permission to love your life. You simply begin, right here, right now. And beginning doesn't mean changing everything. It means loving what already is. It means saying yes to the life that has said yes to you all along. So say yes. Say yes to your breath. Say yes to your history. Say yes to the places that still ache and the parts that have already healed. Say yes to the soul that longs to be felt and the love that lives just beneath your fear. Because when you say yes to all of it, transformation becomes inevitable. You cannot truly accept something and remain unchanged. Acceptance is the alchemy. The fire that doesn't burn you but reveals the gold beneath the soot. And the gold is this: you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become because of it. You are not the pain. You are the awareness holding the pain. And that awareness, your eternal self, is untouchable, indestructible, and already whole. In this space, there is nothing left to fix, only more to feel, more to welcome, more to remember. You remember who you were before the world told you who to be. You remember the you that danced in the rain, that trusted the wind, that didn't question your worth, because worth wasn't something you earned, it was something you were. And so you return, not as a stranger, not as a project, but as a soul who remembers. You return to life, not as a battleground, not as a test, but as a temple, a holy invitation to presence, to wonder, to joy. You return to yourself, not as a critic, not as a warrior, but as a lover, a gentle witness, a compassionate guide. And from that place of inner union, where all parts of you are seen, heard, and loved, life begins to flow again. Not perfectly, not predictably, but freely. You no longer need to push. You no longer need to prove. You simply walk in the direction of truth. With each step, the path reveals itself. With each breath, the burden lifts. With each moment of acceptance, transformation deepens. And at last, you understand the door was never locked. It was only waiting for you to stop resisting. And now that you have, you are free. So here you are now, not broken, but blooming. Not lost, but found in the stillness. Not waiting, but awakening. And all of it began, not with a battle, not with a breakthrough, but with a breath, with the simplest, most radical act of all acceptance. You didn't have to travel the world. You didn't have to become someone else. You only had to say yes. Yes to this moment, yes to this self. yes to the mystery of your becoming. And in that, yes, the struggle faded, the illusion dissolved, the noise quieted, and what remained was peace. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You stopped demanding that life be different. You stopped needing to outrun your past. You stopped fearing the shadows in you. And you looked at it all and said, even this is worthy. Even this is sacred. Even this belongs. And with those words, you came home. So walk forward now, not hurried, not hardened, but whole. Let your steps be soft, your heart be open, your eyes see the divine in all things. And let every breath you take be a gentle reminder. You were never meant to resist your life. You were meant to live it, to feel it, to embrace it, to accept it. And in that sacred acceptance, to be transformed, you are already free. You are already whole. You are already home. And everything begins from here. There comes a moment, quiet and subtle, like the wind brushing against the leaves of a tree at twilight, when your soul begins to whisper truths your mind has long refused to hear. In that stillness, a deeper part of you knows, truly knows, that what you've carried, what you've clung to, what you've called your story, has never been your prison. It was your permission to stay in pain, your permission to be right, your permission to keep reliving an identity that has long expired. But now, in this moment of sacred listening, your spirit is inviting you to something higher, not to fix the story, not to explain it, not to relive it once more, but to lay it down, to choose peace over history. The past is not calling for your loyalty. It is not your home, nor is it your identity. It is a trail of smoke that disappears the moment you stop chasing it. It has no power unless you bring it into the present with your thoughts, your attachments, your resistance. You see, suffering is not the result of what happened. It is the result of your refusal to release what happened. And in that resistance, you lose the present, you lose your power, and you lose yourself. We are not here to rehearse our wounds. We are not here to perfect our pain. We are here to awaken to the truth of who we are. Eternal souls wrapped in temporary form, light draped in the costume of memory. And memory, while beautiful when honored, becomes poison when worshipped. When you identify with your history, you become bound by it. You take the pain and make it personal. You say, this is who I am. This is why I cannot change. This is why I do what I do. But who told you that you must keep bleeding just because you were once cut? What if you no longer needed to explain your suffering to justify your existence? What if your healing didn't need an audience or applause or even agreement? What if the highest form of wisdom was not found in understanding the past, but in releasing it? The ego loves history. It feeds on it. It builds altars around your identity and carves the statue of yourself from the stone of yesterday. It wants you to stay loyal to your wound, because the wounded ego is a powerful excuse. It keeps you smaller than your spirit. It tells you, you've been hurt, you've been wronged. They need to understand, they need to apologize, then you will be free. But freedom is not a transaction, it's a surrender. It's not waiting on others, it's waiting on you. You, the soul behind the mask, the awareness behind the story, the light behind the wound. You are not your history. You are not your pain. You are not even your healing. You are the space in which all of it arises, and you are free to choose peace. You see, peace is not earned. It is claimed. It is not found in the retelling of your trauma or the justification of your anger or the analysis of your past. Peace is what enters when your mind becomes quiet enough to stop rehearsing old roles. It's what fills the room when you stop trying to make sense of why it all happened. Peace doesn't wait for your past to make sense, it waits for you to let go. The moment you no longer need your history to explain you is the moment you are free. And perhaps that's the secret most never learn, that the greatest healing doesn't come from understanding, it comes from unburdening. It comes from emptying yourself of the story you keep carrying like sacred scripture, as if it alone defines your worth. But your worth is not born of suffering. It is born of being, of existence, of essence. You were worthy before anything happened. You are worthy now, and nothing from the past, no matter how intense, how unjust, how personal, can take that away, unless you let it. We are trained to believe that closure must come from the outside, that others must apologize, that life must repay us, that justice must be served. But the soul plays by different rules. The soul whispers, let go. Release the need for understanding. Drop the need to be right. Because true peace comes not when the world finally agrees with your story, but when you no longer need it to. This is the deep turning point when your soul, tired of dragging history like a weight, finally decides that peace is the only thing worth protecting. Not pride, not narrative, not revenge. Peace. To choose peace over history is not to deny what happened. It is to deny it power over you. It is to honor it, thank it, and release it. It is to look at the pain and say, you taught me, but you do not own me. It is to open your arms and declare, I am no longer rehearsing a life I've already outgrown. The wake does not drive the boat, and yet so many live backwards, letting the ripple of what was determine the direction of what is. But life, in its infinite mercy, gives you the gift of now a fresh canvas, an unspoken song, a breath untainted by memory. The divine does not hold grudges. It does not keep score. It only flows endlessly, lovingly, unconditionally toward your awakening. And so must you. Let this be the moment when you loosen your grip on the rope of identity. Let this be the hour you set down the story you've been guarding like treasure and realize it was never the truth. It was a doorway, a chapter, a path to lead you to this truth, that you are more than what was done to you. You are more than what you lost. You are more than who hurt you, what you missed, or how long you suffered. You are a divine being, not broken, not behind, not late, not lost. Just remembering there is no healing in history. There is only memory. And memory, unless transmuted, becomes the chain that binds you. You don't need to relive it, you need to release it. You don't need to understand it. You need to rise above it. You don't need to prove anything. You need to come home to the truth that was never wounded to begin with. You are the awareness behind the wound, not the wound itself. You are the sky, not the weather, the soul, not the story. You can stop carrying it now. You can set it down, not because it didn't matter, but because you finally do. You don't need more time to heal. You need less resistance to the healing that has already begun. You are not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. Waiting for you to stop arguing with what was and start allowing what is. Waiting for you to stop defining yourself by your detour and realize that nothing was ever off track. The path, the pain, the pause, it all pointed you back to presence, and presence is peace. Presence is the end of the story and the beginning of truth. What would it feel like to wake up tomorrow with no story? To not be the one who was betrayed, the one who failed, the one who always gets hurt, or the one who never gets chosen? What would it feel like to wake up not as a role, but as a soul? Not as a character in your own script, but as the consciousness watching it all unfold. This is the deep liberation. When you realize that every story about you is not you, that even the most painful identity is just that, an identity, a mask, a learned role played on the stage of time. But who you are, in truth, is timeless. And timelessness cannot be hurt, cannot be defined, cannot be contained by a past that was never yours to keep. You are the one who notices the storm, not the storm itself. You are the stillness beneath every wave of emotion. You are the breath between the thoughts that say, I am broken. You are not broken. You are becoming. Every ending you feared was actually a beginning in disguise. Every loss was a sacred excavation. Life was not trying to hurt you, it was trying to hollow you, to make space, to soften the shell of ego so your spirit could finally shine through. And all along, you were mistaking the breaking for punishment. But the breaking was the invitation. The very thing that shattered you was the thing that cracked the illusion, that let the light get in and let the truth get out. Now is the time to stop repeating. Stop explaining. Stop negotiating your worth with the past. Stop living as if your history has more truth than your soul. Your story has no power unless you breathe life into it. You've already survived it. Now let it dissolve. Let it drift like fog in the morning sun. You don't need to let go of the past because there is nothing to hold on to. You're clenching smoke and calling it identity. You're holding ash and calling it memory. And it hurts not because it's still happening, it hurts because you won't stop reliving it in your mind. The prison was never real. Only your belief in the bars made them feel solid. And yet, here you are, breath moving, heart beating, spirit stirring alive, not despite the past, but because you were never meant to live there. Life has been whispering again and again, come back, come home, come inward. The story is loud, but peace is patient. And peace will wait until you're ready to stop trying to be right and start being free. Imagine a bird refusing to fly because it remembers a cage. That's what we do when we let our history define our direction. But history cannot touch the present unless you let it. The soul does not remember wounds. It remembers wholeness. It remembers light. It remembers the truth that cannot be taken, cannot be dimmed, cannot be undone. You are not here to relive what you were meant to outgrow. You are here to transform, to alchemize, to take the raw material of what happened and turn it into wisdom, into compassion, into presence, but never into identity. The moment you decide to stop defining yourself by what happened, you begin to remember what has always been true, that you are the awareness behind the events, not the events themselves, that your being is untouched by time, that your value is not found in validation or vindication or even victory, but in the quiet peace of knowing you belong to something higher than history. You belong to the now, and the now needs no story. Peace lives where the story ends. Peace lives where the mind surrenders and the soul breathes. Peace is the permission you give yourself to stop defending your pain. It is the soft inner light that rises the moment you say, I am done trying to win an old war. Because every time you replay what hurt you, you reopen the wound. Every time you explain why you are the way you are, you reinforce the lie that your history made you. It didn't. You made you. Your choices, your awakenings, your willingness to rise. You are not who they said you were. You are not what they did to you. You are not even what you did in reaction to them. You are the quiet power behind it all. You are the one who chose to get back up. You are the one who chose to seek truth. You are the one who chose peace or is choosing it now. And that choice is everything. Because in that choice, you become the creator again. You reclaim your voice, not to shout your story louder, but to sing your soul song, a song of silence, of release, of deep grounding joy. The joy that comes not from fixing the past, but from no longer needing to. You see, healing is not about becoming someone new. It's about letting go of everything that is not truly you. The layers of narrative, the burden of roles, the voice that says you must suffer in order to be seen. That voice is not yours. That voice is ego dressed in spiritual language. But truth does not shout. Truth doesn't demand attention. Truth simply is. And when you are still enough to hear it, you remember you've always been whole. There is no need to explain your healing, no need to prove your growth, no need to convince anyone of your peace. Peace is its own proof. It radiates, it softens, it frees. And if they never understand you, so what? If they never apologize, so be it. If the world never acknowledges what you went through, let it pass. Your peace does not depend on their permission. Your peace depends on your release. You can drop it now. Let the story fall away like autumn leaves from a tree that no longer needs to carry the past into the winter. The tree does not mourn the falling leaf, it celebrates the clearing. So too must you. Celebrate what you no longer carry. Celebrate what no longer owns you. Celebrate the sacred emptiness that makes space for the soul to speak again. You are not empty because you let go. You are empty so that truth can finally fill you. And the truth is this: you have always been enough, always been whole, always been free. You just forgot. And now you remember. The world around you is not waiting for your explanation, it's waiting for your embodiment. Life responds not to your wounds, but to your willingness. And the universe does not heal through repetition, it heals through surrender. When you stop telling the story, you stop bleeding from it. When you stop rehearsing the reasons, you begin to remember the truth beneath them all, that you were never the one in need of fixing. You were the one remembering wholeness beneath the noise. You've spent years building scaffolding around your pain with thoughts, beliefs, conditions, and justifications, and none of it made you freer. It only made your prison more elaborate. It only made your history feel more personal, but it was never personal. Nothing that has ever happened to you has touched the essence of who you are. It could not, because what you are cannot be harmed. It can only be hidden behind layers of noise, behind identity, behind a history that you now realize you do not need. The soul does not care who was right. The soul only asks, can you be free? Can you choose liberation over explanation? Can you be the one who lets it go, not because it was okay, but because you are? Can you walk away from the ruins of your past, not as a survivor, but as a witness of grace? Forgiveness, true forgiveness, is not something you give to another. It is the gift you give to your own nervous system. It is the moment you decide, I will no longer let this experience dictate the energy of my life. It is the soft miracle that happens when your spirit speaks louder than your memory. It is not a reward for the past. It is an offering to the present. And understand this, your spiritual power lies not in how much you know, but in how much you release. It lies not in the complexity of your story, but in the simplicity of your surrender. The more you let go, the lighter you become. The more you choose peace, the clearer you see. The ego holds, the spirit flows, and every time you flow, you return home. You see, this whole life is not about collecting experiences. It is about unlearning the ones that told you you were less than divine. It's about stripping away every voice that told you your peace must be earned. You were never here to perform for healing. You are here to realize that healing is not something you chase, it's something you allow. It's something that rises when you stop believing that you are your history. Because you are not. You are the sky before the clouds. You are the stillness before the storm. You are the I am that echoes before any name, any story, any label was placed upon you. You are not your timeline. You are not your wounds. You are not the echoes of trauma or the shadows of childhood. You are now, and now is always unburdened. Now is always free. Every time you remember this, every time you breathe and choose stillness over reaction, truth over identity, forgiveness over explanation, you come closer to yourself. Not the self you invented to survive, but the self that existed before survival was ever needed. The self that smiles without reason, the self that watches without judgment, the self that loves without memory. This is the sacred undoing, the unraveling of everything you were taught to believe in order to reveal what you have always been. And so I invite you right here, right now, to become light, to become so free within that no thought, no history, no opinion can touch your peace. Let your heart be the sanctuary. It was always meant to be not a courtroom for replaying old verdicts, but a temple for silence, for softness, for serenity. There is no version of peace that requires you to keep justifying your suffering. There is no version of freedom that includes dragging your past into every conversation. And there is no version of awakening that keeps your identity anchored to the pain you've already outgrown. You've done enough. You've proven enough. You've explained enough. Now be still. Let it go. Watch what happens when you stop being loyal to your history and start being loyal to your peace. Watch how life reorganizes itself around your release. Watch how your body heals when you no longer rehearse the harm. Watch how your energy shifts when you no longer argue for your limitations. It was never about the other person. It was never about the apology that never came. It was about you finally deciding that your inner landscape deserves the quiet that only comes when you choose peace over proof. Peace over story. Peace over pride. Peace over performance. You are not here to fix your history. You are here to awaken from it. You are here to remember that the soul's language is not made of memory, but of presence. Not of pain, but of possibility. And not of who you were, but of what you are becoming. You don't need to wait another year. You don't need another therapist, another book, another retreat. You don't need more time. You just need one courageous breath where you decide that your life begins not with your pain, but with your choice to stop carrying it. The mind will protest. The ego will scream. But let it, because beneath the noise, beneath the pull to go back into the old story, your soul is waiting in silence, in stillness, in truth, for you to remember that you've always had the power to choose a new path. Not by force, not by fixing, but by releasing, by becoming empty enough to be filled with light again. Let that be your offering. Let that be your rebirth. Not with fireworks, not with fanfare, but with a quiet, holy yes. A yes to peace, a yes to freedom, a yes to now. What a relief it is to no longer perform for your worth. What a liberation to no longer need the world to echo back what your heart has always known, that you are not broken, not behind, not bound. You are not the sum of your reactions. You are not a title carved from trauma. You are presence itself, wearing the brief mask of a life story that no longer fits. There is a sacred courage in releasing the familiar pain, because even suffering can become comfortable when it becomes identity. Even misery can feel like home when you've lived in it long enough. And yet, there comes a day, quiet, sacred, unremarkable to the world, when your soul whispers, I can't do this anymore. Not because it's too hard, but because it's no longer true. You stop blaming, you stop defending, you stop needing to be understood. And in that moment, you are reborn. You begin to see that no one ever truly held you back except your agreement with their vision of you. You thought they had power, you thought their words mattered, but it was your belief that gave them meaning. It was your attachment to the story that gave it roots. And now you are remembering stories only live when they are fed. Stop feeding the old tale and it starves. Stop rehearsing the pain and it fades. You do not heal by digging deeper into the narrative. You heal by rising above it. You heal when you stop believing that your history is holy. You heal when you stop needing your pain to prove your strength. You heal when you stop defining your identity by what hurts you and start defining it by what frees you. And freedom, real freedom, is always simple. It's the moment you walk out of your own cage and realize the door was never locked. You were never waiting on time to pass. You were waiting on permission, and that permission was always yours to give. So give it now. Give yourself the permission to be happy without justification, to feel peace without resolving every detail, to be free without having to explain to the world why you deserve it. You deserve it because you are, not because of what you've survived, not because of what you've lost, not because of what you've learned. You deserve it because you are life itself. You are awareness, unbothered, undamaged, eternal. The stories came later, and they will go when you no longer worship them. Let go of the altar you built around your suffering. Let go of the temple you built around being misunderstood. You were never meant to dwell in the echo of pain. You were meant to rise radiant and soft in the silence beyond it. And what is peace, truly, but the end of your allegiance to pain? What is peace but the moment you say, I choose stillness, even if I was right? What is peace but choosing not to carry the weight of being wounded into every interaction, every relationship, every dream? History wants you to repeat it. Peace invites you to release it. And your soul, ageless, formless, infinite, is asking you now, which will you choose? Because you do choose. Every day, with every thought, with every emotional rehearsal of the past, with every silent agreement you make, with a version of you that no longer fits. Choose again. Choose peace. Choose it not once, but over and over when you're triggered, when you're tired, when you're tempted to explain, to justify, to defend. Choose it when the old story knocks and says, let me back in. Choose it when your ego says, they need to know how much you've suffered. Choose it when your memory tries to seduce you with the false comfort of being right. Choose peace over being right. Choose presence over performance. Choose becoming over blaming. This is not weakness. This is spiritual strength, because it takes no power to hold a grudge. It takes no wisdom to replay a wound. It takes no vision to argue for your past. But it takes divine maturity to say, I will not carry this any longer. I will not breathe life into this pain again. I will not shrink myself to stay inside a story that dims my soul. And make no mistake, peace is not the absence of conflict, but the absence of identification. Peace is what remains when you stop believing the thoughts that keep you in chains. Peace is your natural state. It is not found in retreat centers or mantras or books, though they may guide you there. Peace is found in the stillness between thoughts, in the soft exhale after you've let go, in the presence that remains when identity falls away. You are not becoming peaceful, you are returning to what you always were. And in this return, there is no drama, no grand event, no validation from the world. There is only stillness. There is only the quiet recognition that you are finally free. You no longer need to win an argument that no longer exists. You no longer need to carry the history of a self that was never truly you. You no longer need to live your life through the lens of what happened, because what happened was only one moment in time, and you are timeless. You are awareness, and awareness cannot be harmed. You are presence, and presence needs no defense. You are love, and love does not argue. So release the need to narrate your healing. Release the temptation to dress your pain in spiritual robes. Release the idea that your story must be redeemed to have meaning. It already had meaning, but the meaning was never in the pain. The meaning was in your awakening, in your surrender, in the moment you laid it all down and said, enough. I am done carrying this weight. I am done explaining my sadness. I am done performing my pain. I choose peace now. I choose silence over noise. I choose truth over story. I choose soul over ego. I choose now over history, because history can only offer memory, but now offers everything. Now offers God. Now offers healing. Now offers freedom. Now offers life. And so here you are, no longer at war with the moment, no longer demanding that the past apologize for your pain, no longer shrinking yourself to fit inside the container of a story that never deserved to hold your soul. You are standing in the doorway of now. You are at the threshold of what cannot be explained but can only be felt, the sacred space where the mind bows, the ego dissolves, and what remains is something wordless, eternal, and unmistakably you. Not the you the world named, not the you shaped by roles or reasons, not the you that needed fixing, proving, surviving, but the you that watches, the you that never leaves, the you that is always, always at peace. Do you feel it? Not in thought, but in the stillness behind the thought, in the quiet between the next breath and the last, in the moment where you finally stop reaching, stop grasping, stop trying to make the story make sense, and simply let it be. This is not resignation, it is resurrection. You are not giving up, you are giving in. Not to the past, but to the present. To the sacred unfolding of a life, no longer filtered through wounds. To the power of what happens when you stop narrating and start being. You are a divine being. Not becoming, not trying, simply being. And being in its purest form carries no story. It carries presence, it carries truth, it carries peace. What a miracle to no longer identify with the one who was wounded, but with the one who witnessed the wound and chose to wake up instead of stay asleep. What a gift to no longer keep your suffering alive, just so others will know it was real. You know, it was real. That's enough. You lived it, and now you are done reliving it. Because truth does not ask for proof. Healing does not need permission. And peace does not wait. It has been here all along, waiting for you to get tired enough of history to finally choose heaven. Not the heaven in the sky, but the heaven in your breath, in your stillness, in your presence. Do you understand now? Peace is not something you earn by fixing your past. Peace is something you remember when you no longer need to fix anything. And in that remembering, you drop the need to control, to rewrite, to validate. You allow what was to rest. You allow what is to rise. You walk through life no longer reacting, no longer defending, no longer defining your moments by yesterday's shadow. You become quiet, not because you have no words, but because you no longer need them. You become soft, not because you are weak, but because you are free. You become light, not because you chased it, but because you stopped carrying what dimmed it. This is the fruit of choosing peace over history. It's not a loud victory. It's not a spiritual badge. It's not something the world may even recognize. It is a quiet transformation, an invisible miracle, a sacred shift within the heart, where you go from narrating your life to embodying it, where you stop saying, this is who I became because of what happened, and start living as, this is who I've always been beyond what happened. You are not your scars. You are the light that shines through them. You are not your past. You are the sky that held it. You are not your healing. You are the spaciousness that allowed it. And you do not need to prove anything to be worthy of peace. You only need to say yes. Yes to letting go. Yes to being seen without the story. Yes to the you that never needed defending. Yes to the divine flow that carries you now without needing you to steer. This is what it means to be whole. Not to be perfect, not to be certain, but to be empty enough to be filled with what's real. To live your life with open hands, open heart, open awareness, to allow each moment to be what it is, no longer filtered through memory, no longer distorted by projection. Just now, just this, just peace. Because when you drop the story, what remains is always peace. And when you stop repeating history, life begins again. You can hear the birds again. You can feel the breeze again. You can see the sky for the first time in years because your mind is no longer clouded by ghosts. This is what awakening is. This is what freedom is. It is not an escape from life. It is a return to it. A wholly grounded, embodied return to the miracle of being unburdened, unchained, untold. No more rehearsing. No more explaining. No more defending. Only living. Only breathing. Only shining. So let the past go. Let the story go. Let the identity built from pain fall apart like dust in sunlight. You will not miss it. You will not need it. What rises in its place is not a better version of you, but the real one. The one who never needed the story. The one who was never waiting to be healed. The one who has always been whole. Choose peace again and again. Let it become your home, your compass, your baseline. Let it be the place you return to, not when things are easy, but especially when they are not. Because peace is not the end of your journey. Peace is the path. Peace is the teacher. Peace is the light that was always within you before the wound, before the narrative, before the noise. You were never your history. You were never your pain. You are now. You are free. And now that you remember, you will never forget again.